I never thought a screenshot could destroy everything. But it wasn't a screenshot, it was a video, and it wasn't taken by a stranger. It was taken by my coworker, someone I saw 5 days a week, someone who smiled at me and asked about my weekend. Someone who was, at that very moment, handing that video to our boss as proof that I was faking my disability. Let me back up. I have chronic pain. I know everyone says that these days, right? But I'm talking real, documented, legally recognized disability. I have a handicap placard hanging from my rearview mirror. I have a letter from my doctor on file with HR. I have a cane that I only use on bad days because most days I can push through the pain. The way I explain it to people who don't live with it is this. Imagine a normal day for you is a 2 or 3 on the pain scale. Maybe you stubbed your toe, maybe you've got a headache. For me, my baseline is a 6, every single day. That pulled muscle ache, that low-grade throb that never goes away. On good days, maybe a 4. On bad days, a 7 or 8, and that's when I grab the cane. I work 2 jobs. The main one is full-time, corporate, benefits, the whole deal. The second one is a part-time gig I actually love. I'm an assistant coordinator at a local nonprofit. I took it to pad my savings and because staying busy helps with my anxiety. My boss there, Amy, is great. She's supportive, flexible, never questioned my accommodations. And then there's Casey. Casey is also an assistant coordinator, same position as me. She's gunning for a promotion, everyone knows it. She's been there longer, works harder, stays later. And she was not happy when I got transferred to her location a few months ago. The reason I was moved there was that the location expanded and needed more hands. I wasn't taking anything from Casey. I told her straight up, I don't want a promotion. If I got promoted, it would be full-time and I already have a full-time job. I'm doing this for extra cash and the joy of the work. But Casey didn't believe me. She saw me as competition. And she started watching me. At first, it was little things. Comments about how I seemed fine. Oh, you're not using your cane today. Must be a good day. I'd smile and say, yeah, it's a good day. But I could feel her eyes on me every time I bent down to pick up a box or walked quickly to answer a phone. She was looking for cracks, looking for proof that I wasn't as disabled as I claimed. The day it all blew up was a Sunday. I woke up at a 7. My lower back was screaming, my hips felt like they were grinding glass. I grabbed my cane. I hate using it, it makes me feel old and weak. But sometimes you just need that extra support. I drove to work, parked in the handicap spot because hey, that's what the placard is for, and limped inside. Amy was at the front desk, asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, just a bad day. Casey was at her desk and I caught her staring at my cane. She didn't say anything. She just smiled, that tight smile she does. The shift was normal. I did my paperwork, helped a few clients, took my lunch in the back room. On my break, I went outside to get some air. I walked across the parking lot to a small bench near the bushes, sat down and stretched my legs. I took a few deep breaths. I checked my phone. I stood up, walked back inside. It took me maybe 10 minutes. Normal, boring. Later that week, Amy called me into her office. Her face was pale. She closed the door and sat down like she was about to deliver a death sentence. I need to show you something, she said. She turned her laptop screen toward me. It was a video of me from that Sunday, filmed from inside a car through the windshield, zoomed in. I'm walking across the parking lot. I'm sitting on the bench. I'm standing up and walking back. The video is shaky, but it's clearly me. And it's clearly a day I'm not using my cane because I left my cane inside when I went on break. I didn't need it for a short walk to a bench. That's how chronic pain works. Sometimes you can manage a few minutes without support. But the video doesn't show the cane. It just shows me walking, sitting, walking again. Normal. Who took this? I asked, even though I already knew. Amy sighed. Casey. She said she saw you walking without your cane outside of work hours and wanted to document it. She's claiming you're not really disabled, that you're using the placard fraudulently and faking your accommodations to get out of work. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I'd been working with Casey for 4 months. We weren't friends, but we were cordial. I'd told her about my condition. She'd nodded sympathetically. And all along she was waiting with her phone, stalking me in the parking lot, trying to catch me in a lie. I asked Amy what she planned to do. She said HR would have to investigate. She was sorry. She believed me, but the video existed. Casey had sent it to Amy and CC'd HR. The damage was done. I walked out of Amy's office and straight into Casey, who was standing at the water cooler. She looked at me with this cold, satisfied expression. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just said, you followed me. You filmed me without my consent. She shrugged. I have a right to prove you're a fraud. You're taking resources from people who really need them. I am disabled, I said, my voice shaking. I have medical records. I have a placard. You can't just decide I'm not. We'll see what HR says, she replied and turned away. That was 3 days ago. Since then, I've filed a police report about the stalking and unauthorized recording. The officer barely wrote anything down. He said it was a workplace issue, not criminal. I tried to explain that she followed me, filmed me without permission, and used it to try to get me fired. He said, ma'am, it's public parking. Anyone can film anything. I asked about the disability angle, discrimination, harassment. He said they'd look into it. I know they won't. Now I'm sitting at home waiting for HR's decision. My phone buzzes. It's an email from Casey. The subject line, evidence too. She attached another video. This one shows me carrying groceries into my house, no cane in sight. She must have followed me home. That was when everything changed. That was when I stopped thinking I was overreacting and started being afraid. The opening segment ends here. The next part continues Casey's escalating stalking and the workplace investigation. I opened the email. My hands were shaking. The video showed me at my own house pulling into my driveway, getting out of my car, grabbing 2 bags of groceries from the trunk and walking to my front door without a cane. No limp, just a normal person on a normal Tuesday. But it wasn't a normal Tuesday. It was a day I had called in sick because my pain was at an 8. I had taken the day off. And Casey had followed me home. She knew where I lived. She had sat in her car, maybe down the street, and filmed me for God knows how long. I closed the laptop. I didn't cry. I just sat there in the dark of my living room feeling violated. This wasn't a coworker. This was a stalker, and my workplace was letting her build a case against me. The next morning, I called Amy. I told her about the second video. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I need you to come in. We're having a meeting with HR at 10. When I got there, Casey was already in the conference room, sitting with her arms crossed, her phone face down on the table. 2 HR reps from the main office were on speakerphone. I brought my medical file, the doctor's note, the handicap placard registration, the accommodation letter from my full-time job. I laid it all out on the table like evidence in a trial. Casey didn't bring anything. She just kept saying, "I have video proof she walks fine. She doesn't need a cane. She's lying about her pain." She said it over and over, like repeating it would make it true. I explained that chronic pain fluctuates. That on a scale of 1 to 10, my baseline is a 6, and a cane helps on days above 7, but some days I manage without. That carrying groceries for 30 seconds doesn't mean I'm not disabled. At her filming me without consent was illegal in our state. Texas has laws against video recording in places where someone has a reasonable expectation of privacy. My own driveway, that's private property. The HR reps asked Casey why she felt the need to film me. She said, because she's taking resources from people who really need them. She parks in handicapped spots. She uses a cane sometimes, but I've seen her run to catch the bus. I've seen her carry furniture into her apartment. I stared at her. "You watch me carry furniture." She didn't flinch. "I have a right to make sure the system isn't being abused." The HR rep said they would review everything and get back to us in a week. I went home and felt like I was going to throw up. That week was a nightmare. I filed a police report again, this time with the second video. The same officer took my statement. He said, "Ma'am, she's your coworker. This is a workplace dispute. If she follows you again, call 911." I asked about the stalking charges. He said, "It's hard to prove. She says she was just driving by." I told him she drove 40 minutes from her house to mine. He shrugged. I went home and cried. I also contacted a disability rights lawyer. She listened to the whole story and said, "You have a strong case for workplace harassment and disability discrimination. But the videos themselves are going to make it complicated. They look bad to a jury. You walking without a cane looks bad. Even if you explain it, the visual is powerful." She said I could sue, but it would take years and cost thousands. And Casey would likely counterclaim that I was faking. The whole thing would drag my name through the mud. I thanked her and said I'd think about it. The Friday of that week, I got an email from HR. They had concluded their investigation. The verdict: they found no evidence that I was misusing my accommodations. They acknowledged that my chronic pain is real and that Casey's actions, filming me without consent, following me, were inappropriate and unprofessional. They said they would give Casey a written warning and require her to complete a training on disability awareness. That's it. No firing, no suspension. No protection for me. She would still be in the same office, same desk, same water cooler where she could glare at me every day. I called Amy. She sounded defeated. "I fought for more," she said. "I told them she stalked you. I told them she invaded your privacy. They said they couldn't prove malicious intent." I didn't know what to say. I loved my job, but I couldn't go back there with Casey still in the building. I decided to resign. I gave 2 weeks' notice. Amy cried. She said she'd write me a glowing reference. Casey sent me a text that night. "See you around. Hope your pain gets better." I didn't respond. I blocked her number. My last day was a Thursday. I cleaned out my desk. I said goodbye to the coworkers who had hugged me and apologized for what happened. I drove home and parked in my driveway. I sat in the car for 10 minutes staring at my front door, wondering if Casey was still watching. I never found out, but I learned something. Proof doesn't have to be true, it just has to look true. And once someone sees you walking without a cane, no explanation will ever be enough. That was a few years ago. I still have the chronic pain. I still work 2 jobs, and I still check over my shoulder every time I park in a handicapped spot. But that experience taught me something about how easy it is for someone to weaponize a video. And that lesson came back to me just last month when a different kind of screenshot landed in my hands. I was 17, working the closing shift at a coffee shop. It was a Tuesday night, dead hour, maybe 8 o'clock. I was wiping down the espresso machine when my coworker Jess nudged me and nodded toward the corner booth. "Look at those 2, she whispered. "They need to get a room." I looked. A couple was tangled up in the corner, full on making out, hands in hair, legs wrapped around each other. The girl was wearing a red dress. The guy had a beard. They were loud enough that the other 2 customers were staring. Then the girl turned her head and I recognized her. It was Sam, my girlfriend's older sister. She was 24, engaged to a guy named Derek, wedding in July, and she was here in my coffee shop making out with some random bearded dude. My stomach dropped. I ducked behind the counter and told Jess I had to go to the bathroom. I stood in the stall for 5 minutes trying to figure out what to do. I didn't want to get involved. I barely knew Sam. She'd been nice to me a few times, but she wasn't my friend. And telling my girlfriend Emma would blow up the whole family, but keeping quiet felt wrong too. I came back out. The couple was gone. I cleaned their table trying to act normal, but then Sam walked back in. She must have left her purse or something. She spotted me immediately. Her face went white. She walked over and grabbed my arm. You saw nothing, she hissed. I said, I didn't see anything. She squeezed tighter. You did. I saw you. Look at us. You tell anyone, I'll make your life hell. You hear me? I nodded. She let go and walked out. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Emma, hey babe, what's going on with you and my sister? She called me crying. She said you threatened her. What did you do? I stared at the screen. I hadn't threatened anyone. Sam was spinning it. Emma kept texting. She wants to meet you tonight. She said she'll come to your house if you don't come to hers. Please tell me what happened. I typed back. It's not my place to tell. Ask your sister. Emma, she won't tell me. She just keeps saying you're lying and that I need to talk to you. I didn't know what to do. I was 17, still living with my parents, not allowed out past 10. It was already 9:30. I told Emma, I can't leave, my parents will freak. She said, Sam will drive to you, she's already in the car. I panicked. I told her no, don't come. I said I'd figure it out tomorrow. She said, Sam says if you don't talk tonight, she'll call dad and tell him you tried to blackmail her. My heart started pounding. This was insane. I had done nothing wrong. I was the one who saw her cheating. And now she was threatening me. I called Emma. I told her everything. I saw your sister making out with a guy at my work. He was Derek. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to get involved. She saw me and flipped. She begged me not to tell. Then she threatened me. I'm scared, Emma. Emma was quiet. Then she said, are you sure it was her? I said, yes. Red dress, brown hair, mole above her lip. I've met her 5 times. I know her face. Emma started crying. She said, I'll talk to her. Don't say anything to anyone else, please. I stayed up that whole night, waiting for a text that never came. The next morning, Emma told me that Sam had confessed. She admitted to the kiss but said it was a mistake, that she was drunk, that she loved Derek and would never do it again. She begged Emma not to tell their parents. Emma said she'd keep the secret for now, but that Sam needed to come clean to Derek herself. Sam agreed, and then like magic the whole thing disappeared. Sam went back to wedding planning, Emma acted like nothing happened, and I was left in the middle holding a secret I never wanted. A week later, I got a text from Sam. I'm sorry for threatening you, thank you for not telling Derek, I promise I'll be better. I said okay, and that was it. The wedding happened in July. I went as Emma's date. I watched Sam walk down the aisle smiling, glowing, kissing Derek at the altar. I couldn't look Emma in the eye because I knew something she didn't. Sam still had the other guy's number on her phone. I saw it when she showed me a picture of her bouquet. A notification popped up. Hey beautiful, miss you already. I didn't say anything. I just smiled and handed the phone back. Some screenshots don't need to be shared. They just change the way you see everything from that moment on. I thought I had escaped the drama, but a few weeks before the wedding, everything almost blew up again. It started with a text from Sam. She asked me to meet her alone at a diner near my house. I didn't want to go, but she said it was about Emma, and I knew if I didn't show up, she'd spin something worse, so I went. She was already there, nursing a cup of coffee. I sat down across from her. She looked thinner than at the coffee shop, eyes red. She said, I need you to promise me you won't tell Derek, not ever. I need you to swear on Emma's life. I asked her why she was still with him if she was seeing someone else. She said, it's complicated. He's good to me. I love him. The other guy is just, I don't know, a mistake, a stupid mistake. I ended it. He's gone, I swear. I said, then why do I still have a bad feeling? She grabbed my hand across the table. Because you're paranoid, because you think you're protecting Emma. But if you tell Derek, you'll destroy him, you'll destroy our family, and Emma will hate you for it. Is that what you want? I pulled my hand away. I just don't want to lie for you, she leaned in. You already are. You lied to Emma when you said you didn't see anything. You lied to your parents when you sneaked out to meet me. You're in it now, so stay in it. She slid a 20 across the table and walked out. I sat there for 20 minutes. I felt dirty. I felt trapped. I called Emma and told her I needed to talk. We met at a park bench near her house. I told her everything again, the meeting, the threat, the constant pressure. She listened. Then she said, Sam has a problem. She's been lying to me too. I found a text from her phone last week. She said she'd pay me to keep quiet about some guy. I didn't know what she meant, now I do. She started crying. I can't believe my sister is doing this, and I can't believe you've been carrying this alone. She hugged me. She said she'd talk to their parents. The next few days were chaos. Emma told her mom. Her mom confronted Sam. Sam denied everything. She said I was lying, that I had a crush on her and was making it up because she rejected me. I was 17. It was humiliating. Emma's mom called my parents. My dad sat me down and asked if I had done anything inappropriate. I said no. He believed me because I've never lied to him about anything big. But Emma's mom didn't. She forbade Emma from seeing me. They pulled Sam out of wedding planning for a few weeks. The engagement was put on hold. I thought it was over. But then Derek texted me. He said, I hear you've been spreading rumors about Sam. I want to hear it from you. I didn't know what to do. I felt like if I told him, I'd be destroying a family. But if I didn't, I'd be letting Sam get away with it. I met him at a gas station parking lot. I showed him the proof, the date and time on my phone log from the night at the coffee shop, the text from Sam threatening me. I didn't have a video, but I had enough. He stared at the screen. He didn't say anything for a long minute. Then he said, I knew it. I knew she was acting strange. He thanked me. He said he'd handle it. The next week, the engagement was called off. Sam's parents pulled financial support for the wedding. Derek moved out of the apartment they shared. Sam blamed me publicly. She told everyone I was a jealous little kid who ruined her life. But the truth came out eventually. Too many people had seen her with that other guy, not just me. Another customer from the coffee shop posted on Facebook that she recognized Sam from the coffee shop that night. That sealed it. Emma and I stayed together for a few more months, but the tension was unbearable. Her family treated me like a pariah. She couldn't look at me without thinking about the scandal. We broke up in August right before senior year. She said she needed space. I said I understood. I didn't. I was just a kid who saw something I wasn't supposed to see. And it cost me everything. That was 10 years ago. I don't think about Sam much anymore. But every time I see a couple making out in public, I get that same sick feeling in my stomach. And I remember that no matter how careful you are, you can't unsee some things. You can't unknow what you know, and you can't force someone else to do the right thing. You can only decide what kind of person you want to be when the screenshot lands in your hands. I thought I was done with secrets. I thought that coffee shop night was the worst thing I'd ever carry. But a year later, I learned that some people don't just hide the truth, they weaponize it. And they'll try to prove you're lying about something you can't even see. I have chronic pain, not the kind you get from a bad workout or sleeping wrong. I mean the kind that lives in your bones every single day, like someone turned the volume on your nerves up to 7 and forgot how to turn it down. I explain it like this: if pain is a scale from 1 to 10, normal people walk around at a 1 or a 2. I'm at a 6 minimum. Imagine stepping on a Lego, that's an 8, but it's over in a second. Imagine pulling a muscle in your back and having to move carefully for a week. That's me every day, except on good days I drop to a 4. And on rare, blessed days, I touch a 3, but I don't think I've felt a 0 since I was 12. I'm active. I work 2 jobs. I use canes on the bad days, anything above a 7. And I have a handicap placard for my car because some days I need that extra few feet of parking to avoid collapsing before I get inside. The doctors signed off on it. The DMV approved it. It's real. Last year I got moved to a new location for my part-time job closer to home. I love the new team. My boss, Amy, is the kind of manager who actually listens. My colleague, Casey, is another assistant coordinator, same position as me. Casey wants a promotion to full-time coordinator really badly. Everyone knows it. And I was pretty open that I didn't want that promotion. I already have a full-time job. I do this one to pad my savings and because I genuinely like the work. Keeping busy helps with my anxiety. It keeps me from spiraling, but Casey saw me as competition anyway. She was always trying to prove she was better, more dedicated, more capable. I didn't pay it much attention. I'm not there to be the star. I'm there to do my job and go home. Then came Sunday. It was a bad pain day. I woke up at a solid 8. I took my medication, waited an hour, still an 8. I used my cane to get to the car. I used my placard to park close. I made it through my shift at my full-time job by sheer willpower. Then I had 4 hours before my part-time shift. I went home, took a hot bath, did some stretches, and managed to pull myself down to a 7. Barely. I took my cane into the shop because I knew I'd need it by hour 3. I clocked in. Amy saw me with the cane and asked if I needed anything. I said I was fine, just a rough day. Casey was at the register and she gave me this look, not concern, not curiosity. It was a squint like she was trying to read a receipt that wasn't clear. I ignored it. I worked my shift. I kept the cane by my station. At one point, I had to sit down for 5 minutes because the pain spiked. Amy okayed it. Casey said nothing, but she was watching. When I left that night, I saw Casey sitting in her car in the parking lot. She had her phone pointed at me. I thought she was just on Instagram or something. I got in my car and drove home. The next day, my phone blew up. Amy called me into her office. She looked uncomfortable. She said, Casey came to me this morning. She showed me a video she took of you outside the shop yesterday. She said you were using a cane in the store, but then when you walked to your car, you walked normally. She's claiming you're faking your disability to get special treatment. I felt like I'd been punched. I said, Amy, you know I have chronic pain. You've seen my paperwork. You've seen me on bad days. She nodded. I believe you, she said. But she's also sent the video to HR, and she's told a few other coworkers. There's a rumor going around that you're lying. That was when everything changed. I asked to see the video. Amy pulled it up on her phone. It was me leaving the shop carrying the cane. I had to walk maybe 30 feet to my car, but in that 30 feet the pain had mercifully dipped to a 6. Not a miracle, just a brief easing. I wasn't limping as hard. I wasn't hunched over. I was just walking. That's what Casey captured. 30 seconds of me walking like a normal person out of context without the rest of my day attached. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just felt this cold anger settle in my chest. I said, do you want me to show the other 23 hours of my day? The part where I can't sleep because of the pain? The part where I cried in my car before coming in? Amy said she believed me, but HR was already investigating. That night, I filed a report with HR myself. I included my medical documentation, my doctor's notes, the link to my original accommodation approval. I also filed a police report. I walked into the station and said, my coworker is stalking me and taking video of me without my consent. She's using it to harass me at work. The officer looked at me. I'm black. I'm in Texas. He asked, did she threaten you? I said, she's trying to destroy my reputation. She's spreading lies about me being a fraud. He shrugged. That's a workplace issue, not a police issue. Can't help you. I knew that was coming, I'd heard stories, but it still hurt. The next few days were hell. HR interviewed me, then Casey, then Amy. Casey doubled down. She said she had more videos. She said she'd been watching me for weeks. She had footage of me walking without a cane on a good day, footage of me carrying groceries, footage of me laughing with a coworker. She'd compiled it all into a little portfolio of proof that I'm not disabled. But here's the thing, being disabled doesn't mean you can never walk normally. It means you can't always walk normally. On a good day, I can do almost everything. On a bad day, I need help. Casey only captured the good moments. She cropped out the days I came in pale and shaking. She didn't see the times I had to excuse myself to the bathroom to cry from the pain. I started documenting everything. I downloaded a pain tracker app. I took photos of my cane, my medication, my swollen joints. I wrote down every time Casey looked at me, every whispered conversation she had with other coworkers. I felt like I was living in a surveillance state, but I was the one being watched. 2 weeks in, HR called me back. They said they had reviewed the evidence. They told me that Casey's behavior was concerning, but that she had a right to report what she believed was fraudulent use of accommodations. They said I would not face any discipline, but they also wouldn't discipline Casey. They said they would monitor the situation. I was furious. I was being gaslit by my own workplace. I went to Amy in private. She said, "I'm so sorry I fought for you, but HR is afraid of a discrimination lawsuit from Casey if they punish her. They're protecting themselves." I asked, "What about protecting me?" She didn't have an answer. 2 weeks after that, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of me walking into the grocery store. No cane, good day. The caption said, "Still lying." I didn't respond. I called the police again. They said unless she threatened me directly, it was a civil matter. I knew I had to get out. I put in my notice at the part-time job. Amy cried. She said she'd still be a reference. Casey acted smug. She thought she'd won, but I didn't leave quietly. I filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I submitted all my evidence, the videos she took, the texts from unknown numbers. I had saved the phone number and traced it to a burner app, the HR report, the police non-report. I wrote a long, detailed statement about how her actions had created a hostile work environment and how she had used my disability against me. I also found out through a mutual coworker that Casey had done this before. 3 years ago, she had accused another assistant of faking a back injury. That person quit. Casey had been promoted. She was a serial accuser, and HR had let her get away with it because they didn't want to rock the boat. I waited 3 months. The EEOC investigation was slow, but it moved. They interviewed Casey. They interviewed me again. They subpoenaed her phone records. They found that she had been following me for at least 6 weeks, taking video and photos, storing them in a folder labeled proof. They also found evidence that she had posted one of the videos to a private Facebook group for disability fraud watchers. That was the nail in the coffin. Casey was fired. Not just from the job, but blacklisted from the company's entire network. HR released a statement saying they had terminated her for violation of company policy regarding harassment and misuse of company resources. They didn't mention me by name, but everyone knew. I got a small settlement from the company, not enough to change my life, but enough to cover the therapy I started after all of it. Because living under surveillance, being doubted every day, having to prove your own pain, it breaks something in you. I still have chronic pain, I still have canes, I still have good days and bad, but I don't work part-time anymore. I don't need the money bad enough to risk that again, and I still check my surroundings when I walk out of a store. I look for phones pointed my way. I notice people lingering in cars. I'm not paranoid. I'm just disabled in a world that thinks seeing is believing, and that what you see is always the truth. But the truth is, you can't see my pain, you can only see my best moments. And if someone films those and says I'm lying about the rest, that's not a video of me, that's a weapon, and I almost let it destroy me. I thought my situation was bad, but then I read a story from a kid that made me realize some people really have no shame. I'm still messed up from what happened at my last job. The way Casey turned me into a suspect in my own body. The way HR let it slide until the feds got involved. That whole experience left me jumpy. I started checking my mirrors when I drove. I stopped going to the same grocery store twice in a row. I know that sounds paranoid, but when somebody spends 6 weeks filming you to prove you're a liar, you stop trusting the world. But I heard another story a few weeks ago that made me remember why I keep my mouth shut sometimes. It's about a 17-year-old kid who worked at a coffee shop. He just wanted to do his job, make some cash, maybe save up for a car. He didn't ask to be a witness to a train wreck. He was working a Saturday morning shift, busy as hell. The line was out the door. He was on bar, making drinks as fast as he could. His coworker pointed out a couple in the corner who were practically eating each other's faces. The kid glanced over, recognized the woman immediately. It was his girlfriend's older sister. She was 24, engaged to a guy named Sam, supposed to get married in July. And she was full-on making out with some other dude at a coffee shop like she didn't have a care in the world. The kid didn't know what to do. He ducked behind the machine, kept his head down. He figured if he just pretended he didn't see anything, he could get through the shift and deal with it later. But then the sister and the guy left. He went out to wipe down tables, thinking the coast was clear. She came back in maybe to use the bathroom, maybe she forgot her phone. She saw him, she knew he'd seen her. She started begging him, please tell me you didn't see anything, please just say you didn't see me. He said he didn't see anything. She didn't believe him. She got this look on her face like she was already planning damage control. She told him, we aren't done, we need to talk. Then she left. He got home and his phone lit up. His girlfriend was texting him, what's going on with you and my sister? She's really upset. She said you saw something, I need you to come over. The kid was 17. He wasn't allowed to leave the house at that hour. He told his girlfriend that. She said, we'll come to you, sneak out, meet us somewhere. He said he couldn't. She kept pushing. Please just come. He froze. He didn't know what to do. He didn't want to be the one to tear apart a wedding, but he also didn't want to lie to his girlfriend. He posted online asking for advice. People told him the same thing, stay out of it, let the sister confess, don't get dragged in. But the sister had already dragged him in. She'd told his girlfriend that something happened, that he saw something he shouldn't have. Now the girlfriend was scared and confused. He decided to tell his girlfriend the truth. He called her that night. He said, I saw your sister with another guy. They were making out at my coffee shop. I'm sorry, I didn't know what to do. His girlfriend went quiet. Then she said, are you sure? He said yes. She started crying. She said, she's supposed to marry Sam in 2 months. I can't believe she would do this. They talked for an hour. She said she'd talk to her sister in the morning, but the sister beat her to it. The next day, the sister showed up at the kid's house. Not just her, she brought the girlfriend with her. The sister stood on the porch and started yelling. She called the kid a liar. She said he was trying to ruin her relationship because he was jealous. She said, you're just a kid, you don't know what you saw. The kid didn't back down. He said, I saw you. You were kissing a guy with a beard and a green jacket. You were sitting at the table by the window. You left your phone on the table and then came back for it. That's when you saw me. His girlfriend looked at her sister. She said, he described exactly what you wore that day. You told me you were at the mall. The sister went pale. She started crying. She admitted everything. She said it was a coworker from her gym. She'd been seeing him for 3 months. She said the wedding was a mistake, that she was too afraid to call it off. She begged her little sister not to tell Sam. She said, just give me time. I'll break it off with him and then I'll break up with Sam. Please don't ruin everything. But the kid's girlfriend couldn't keep that secret. She told her parents. Her parents confronted the sister. The sister denied it at first, but then the girlfriend showed them the kid's text message describing the guy. Parents made the sister confess. They called Sam. Sam was devastated. He canceled the wedding. The sister moved out of their shared apartment. The family was torn apart. The kid stayed with his girlfriend through all of it. They were still together a year later, he said, but he never forgot that day in the coffee shop. He said he learned that you can't stay out of something once you've seen it. The sister tried to control the narrative, tried to make him the bad guy. But the truth came out because he told it. I think about that kid when I remember my own situation. Casey tried to film me and turn me into the villain. She tried to make my pain a lie, but the truth is stubborn. It stays, it waits, and eventually it wins. I just wish it didn't have to hurt so much along the way. I still think about how the cops treated me when I tried to report Casey. I'm black, I'm in Texas, and I have a chronic pain condition. That's 3 strikes before you even open your mouth. I called the non-emergency line the day after I found the GPS tracker under my car. The woman on the phone asked, is he threatening you? Did he touch you? I said no, but he's stalking me. He's been filming me for weeks. He's posting videos online accusing me of faking my disability. She said, that sounds like a workplace issue. Ma'am, you need to talk to your HR. I said I already did and they didn't do anything. She said, well, we can't really get involved unless there's a direct threat. I hung up. I sat in my car and cried, not because I was scared, I was angry. I knew exactly why she dismissed me. A week later, I went to the station in person. I brought printed screenshots of Casey's posts, my medical documents, the tracker. The desk sergeant looked at them and said, this is a civil matter. You can try to file a restraining order, but that's through the courts, not us. I said, she's following me, she's recording me, that's harassment. He shrugged. People film in public all the time. If she's trespassing on your property, call back, otherwise talk to a lawyer. I left with nothing. My mother told me to just let it go, that drawing attention would only make things worse. But I couldn't let it go. That tracker, those videos, that was proof, and nobody cared because I didn't fit their picture of a victim. The only reason anything changed was because a detective from the cyber crimes unit happened to be in the station that day. He overheard me talking to the desk sergeant. He came over, asked me what the case was about. I explained. He looked at the screenshots and said, this is interstate stalking. She's posting your image on a private group. If that group has members in other states, it's federal. He took my case. Within 2 weeks, they subpoenaed Casey's phone records. That's when they found the 6 weeks of footage, the folder labeled Proof, and the Facebook group for disability fraud watchers. That's when the company finally did something, not because they believed me, but because the cops showed up with a warrant. Casey was fired that same day. I got a text from my boss Amy around 7 p.m. She's gone. I'm so sorry this happened. Please take time off. I didn't respond. I didn't want her apology. I wanted my peace of mind back. The company offered me a settlement, 3 months' pay, and a confidentiality agreement. I took it because I was tired. I couldn't afford to fight. I still can't walk into a coffee shop without scanning faces. I still check under my car every morning. I know I'm not paranoid, I'm just a disabled black woman who had to prove her own body to a jury of strangers. And that's what I was thinking about when I read that kid's story from the coffee shop. He was 17, trying to save up for a car, working a Saturday morning shift. The line was out the door. His coworker pointed to a couple in the corner, full-on making out, hands everywhere. The girl's hair was a mess. The guy had a beard and a green jacket. The kid recognized her immediately. It was his girlfriend's older sister. She was 24, engaged to a guy named Sam, wedding set for July. The kid ducked behind the espresso machine. He kept his back turned. He thought, if I don't look, if I don't acknowledge it, it didn't happen. But then they left and he had to go wipe down tables. He was bent over, spraying cleaner when the sister walked back in. She'd forgotten her phone. She saw him. Her face went white. She grabbed his arm and whispered, "You didn't see anything, please, you didn't." He said, "I didn't see you." She didn't believe him. She said, "We're going to talk, I'll find you." Then she left. That night his girlfriend texted, "What's going on with you and my sister? She's hysterical, you need to come over." The kid said he couldn't leave the house. His girlfriend said, "We'll come to you, sneak out, meet us at the park." He said no. She kept pushing, "Please just tell me what happened." So he told her over the phone. He said, "I saw your sister kissing some guy at my work, a bearded guy in a green jacket. They were all over each other." There was silence. Then his girlfriend started crying. "She told me she was at the mall, she bought me a bracelet." He said, "I'm sorry, I didn't want to be the one to say it." The girlfriend didn't talk to him for 2 days. She was trying to figure out what to believe. Her sister had always been the favorite, the pretty one, the one who could do no wrong. But the kid had described the guy's jacket, the spot by the window, the way she left her phone, details only someone who saw it would know. On the third day, the girlfriend's mother called the kid. She said, "My daughter told me what you saw. I need you to be honest with me." He repeated everything. She said, "Thank you." Then she asked the sister to come over. The sister admitted it, but only after her mother cornered her with the kid's description. She said it was a mistake, that she was going to call off the wedding anyway, that she just needed time. The mother made her call Sam that night. I can't imagine that phone call. Sam showed up at the house an hour later, crying, yelling. The sister tried to blame the kid. "He's lying, he's just a jealous teenager." But the mother said, "He described what she was wearing, he described the man's jacket." "You told me you were at the mall, he has no reason to lie." Sam canceled the wedding. He sent out texts to the guest list, "Wedding is off, do not ask why." The sister moved out of their apartment that weekend. The family stopped talking to her for months. The kid's girlfriend was torn. She loved her sister, but she also loved her boyfriend for being honest. They stayed together. He said they made it through, but it was hard. Every holiday was awkward. The sister never apologized to him. I think about that kid a lot. He didn't ask to be in that position. He just wanted to make lattes and save for a car. But he saw something and he told the truth, and it blew up his girlfriend's family. Even though he did the right thing, I bet he still checks the corner table every time he works a Saturday shift. I bet he still wonders if there was a way to avoid the whole mess. There is. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you tell it, you can't take it back. That's what I learned from Casey too. She tried to bury me in footage. She tried to make my pain a lie, but the truth sits there, stubborn as a bone, until someone finds it. But I'm not the only one with that kind of story. There's another one from a kid who worked at a coffee shop. He posted his story around the same time and it stuck with me. Here's how he told it. I'm 17. I work mornings at a local coffee shop to save up for a car. I've been there about 4 months. It's not a fancy place, just a strip mall spot with mismatched tables and a drive-thru that always backs up. I know everyone's order by now. The woman who gets a caramel macchiato with oat milk and no foam. The guy who always asks for extra cinnamon on his latte. The college kids who split a muffin and camp out for 3 hours. That Saturday morning was brutal. We were slammed. The line wrapped around the counter and I was sweating behind the espresso machine. My coworker Jake nodded toward the corner booth and said, "Dude, get a room." I looked over. A couple was going at it, full on making out, hands roaming, the girl half on the guy's lap. I laughed and kept working. But then I recognized the girl's hair, that long dark wave, the silver ring on her thumb. It was my girlfriend's sister. Her name's Mia. She's 24, engaged to a guy named Sam. They're supposed to get married in July. The wedding is already paid for. My girlfriend Lily is a bridesmaid. I've been to their apartment. I've had dinner with Sam. He's a decent guy, works in construction, always tips when I make his coffee. And there she was, kissing some bearded dude in a green jacket right in public. I ducked behind the machine. I kept my head down. They left maybe 10 minutes later and I forced myself to breathe. I thought, okay, if I just don't say anything, it never happened. But then I had to clean the tables. I grabbed the spray bottle and a rag and walked over. I was wiping down the corner booth when I heard the door open again. Mia came back in, looking around. She was holding her phone. She must have left it. She spotted me and her face went pale. She walked over fast. "You didn't see anything," she whispered. "You didn't," I said. "I didn't see you," but my voice cracked. "We need to talk," she said. "I'll find you." Then she left. I finished my shift in a haze. I kept replaying it. The way she grabbed his jacket, the way he pulled her closer. I felt sick. When I got home, I texted Lily like normal, but I couldn't concentrate. Around 8 that night, Lily texted, "What's going on with you and my sister? She's freaking out." I replied, "I don't know what you mean," she said. "She called me crying. She said you were acting weird. She thinks you're mad at her." I said, "I'm not. I just had a long day." Then Lily said, "You need to come over, she's here, she wants to talk." I said, "I can't, my parents won't let me leave at this hour." Lily said, "They'll drive to your house, meet us at the park, sneak out." I said, "That's hard." "I'll get caught," she said, "please just tell me what happened." I sat on my bed for a long time, I knew I had to tell her, but it wasn't my secret to spill. And yet, if I didn't say anything, Mia would spin some story, so I called Lily. I told her everything. The green jacket, the booth, the way they were all over each other. She was quiet for a few seconds, then she started crying. "She told me she was at the mall," Lily said. "She said she bought me a bracelet." "I'm sorry," I said. "I didn't want to be the one." She hung up. She didn't talk to me for 2 days. I didn't text her because I didn't know what to say. I just went to work, came home, stared at my ceiling. On the third day, Lily's mom called me. I'd never talked to her directly before. She said, "Lily told me what you saw. I need you to be honest with me." I repeated everything. The jacket, the spot, the way Mia left her phone. She said, "Thank you," and hung up. I found out later that Mrs. Chen called Mia over that night. She confronted her with what I'd said. Mia tried to deny it at first, but her mom had the details, the jacket, the booth, the exact time. Mia finally broke down. She said it was a mistake, that she was planning to call off the wedding anyway, that she just needed time. Mrs. Chen made her call Sam right there. Sam showed up 30 minutes later. I heard he was crying, he screamed. Mia told him I was lying, that I was a jealous teenager who had a crush on her, but Mrs. Chen backed me up. She said, "He described what she was wearing, he described the man's jacket, you told me you were at the mall, he has no reason to lie." Sam canceled the wedding. He sent out a mass text, "Wedding is off, do not ask why." Mia moved out of their apartment that weekend. She stayed with a friend. Lily and her family didn't talk to her for months. Lily and I stayed together, but it was hard. Every holiday felt like walking through a minefield. Mia never apologized to me. She still acts like I ruined her life, but I didn't ruin anything. I just saw what she did. And the truth is heavier than any secret. I still check the corner booth every Saturday. I still scan for green jackets. I'm 17 and I've learned that doing the right thing can cost you your peace. But I couldn't live with the lie either, so you choose your burden. I chose the truth and I'm still carrying it. I thought I was done with people who think they know my body better than I do. But then Casey started watching me. Not in a creepy staring way, she was smarter than that. She said she was just being thorough. She said that since we shared the same title, she wanted to make sure the workload was fair. I believed her at first. That was my mistake. I'm 34. I've got a full-time job in IT and a part-time gig as an assistant coordinator at a small nonprofit. The nonprofit is close to my house, which is good because I have chronic pain that fluctuates day to day. Some days I'm at a 4 on the pain scale, walking fine, just a little stiff. Other days I'm at a 7 and I need my cane. I have a handicap placard. I have accommodations on file. My boss Amy knows the deal and never questions it. Casey was hired 6 months after me. She's ambitious. She wants Amy's job eventually and she sees me as an obstacle even though I've told her 100 times I don't want it. I'm part-time by choice. I like the extra money, but I don't need the promotion. She didn't believe me. It started with little comments. "You're limping today. Must be hard." Then she'd watch me walk to my car. Then she started asking weird questions about my doctors. Then one morning I came into work and found a sticky note on my desk. "You parked in handicap yesterday. I saw you get out fine." I ignored it, passive-aggressive garbage. But that weekend I had a bad flare-up. I woke up at a solid 8. I could barely get out of bed. I took my cane, drove to the store to pick up a prescription, and parked in a handicapped spot because I had to. I used my placard. It's legal. It's mine. On Monday, Amy called me into her office. She looked uncomfortable. She said, "Someone filed a formal complaint against you. They say you're using the handicap placard fraudulently." I asked who. She said, "Casey." I felt my stomach drop. Amy said she submitted a video. She said she filmed you walking into a store last Sunday and you weren't using a cane. I asked to see the video. Amy played it on her laptop. It was me at the drugstore, a grainy clip from across the parking lot. I had my cane in my left hand, but I was swinging it, not leaning on it because I felt a little better after sitting in the car for 10 minutes. Casey had filmed me from inside her car. She followed me there. She waited. I didn't scream. I just sat there. I said, "Amy, I have a condition. It fluctuates. Sometimes I need the cane, sometimes I don't. But I always need the placard because my pain spikes without warning." Amy nodded. She said she believed me, but the complaint had to go through HR, and because Casey had video, they had to investigate. That investigation took 3 weeks. I had to submit medical records, doctor's notes, my accommodation paperwork. I had to have my primary care physician write a letter explaining that chronic pain doesn't follow a straight line. I felt like I was on trial for being disabled the wrong way. Casey didn't stop. She started following me more. She took videos of me walking into my apartment, carrying groceries, laughing with a neighbor. She compiled them and sent them to HR with timestamps. She wrote in her report that I was clearly capable of walking without assistance and that I was taking advantage of the system. I finally called a lawyer. He told me to document everything, save every email, and file a counter-complaint for harassment and ableism. I did. I also started parking farther away to avoid her. But she found me. She waited for me outside the office one evening and said, "You know I'm just looking out for the team, right? You can do the job without special treatment, you should." I said, I'm not getting special treatment, I have a legal accommodation. She said, but I saw you carry a case of water to your car yesterday, that's not pain. I said, you don't know what my pain feels like. She said, I know what a liar looks like. That night I cried in my car, not because I was sad, because I was so angry. I kept replaying the footage she took, the way she hid, the way she zoomed in, the way she thought she was a detective. And I realized she wasn't just trying to get me fired. She was trying to prove that my disability was a choice, a performance. She wanted everyone to see that I was faking it. The HR investigation ended in my favor. They concluded that I had valid documentation and that Casey's videos did not constitute proof of fraud. They also stated that Casey's conduct was concerning and that she would be required to attend sensitivity training. Casey was furious. She filed a grievance. She told the whole office I was a cheater and a liar. I didn't quit. I showed up every day. I brought my cane even on good days. I made sure Casey saw me, and I kept copies of every video she sent. Because if she ever tried again, I would have receipts. I'm still there. Casey is still there too, sitting 3 desks away. She doesn't talk to me anymore, she just stares. And I stare back because I'm not going to disappear. I'm not going to shrink. My pain is real, my disability is real, and no video can change that.